I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What glorious feeling, and I'm happy again. Welcome to World Cinema Reviews. This is Frank Devan, and I am extremely happy because today we're going to talk about a masterpiece, an awesome movie, and we're going to talk about Stanley Kubrick's masterpiece, A Clockwork Orange. And the song, of course, is from a very infamous part of the movie, which we may be talking about a little bit later. But A Clockwork Orange is a 1971 film, like I said, directed by Kubrick, and it's it's just unbelievable. The film is brutal, gory, hardcore. Some people even call it pornographic, distasteful, groundbreaking. Basically, the movie exploits feelings. Um, Dystopian, in most of a film has been called, meaning that in the distant future, things look bleak rather than an optimistic or utopian point of view. And it's no matter how you feel about this film, or whether you like it or not, you have to admit that it brings up some feelings and a lot of controversy and things that you just think inside. And it's a social commentary about a lot of things. You can argue that this is not a horror film, but I think it has an incredible amount of horror aspects. And we're gonna to kick off the horror month. I thought that there's no better entry than this British entry, and so controversial, in fact, that in Great Britain it wasn't readily seen until you know 2000, the year 2001. 30 years later from the original release. Uh, it's quite mind-boggling, but the film, it's we're going to talk about the controversy, of course, but we're going to talk about what makes it great, and that's just what I'm here for. The plot. Well, first the players. I'm sorry. Directed by Kubrick, the awesome Malcom McDowell. I mean, I've seen portrayals of criminals and hoodlums and really evil people, being Sir Anthony Hopkins from The Silence of the Lambs, being my one of my favorites. But Alex from A Clockwork Orange is really groundbreaking, and you know, I think that it would be almost up to par of Hopkins. He, you know, and there's the great Patrick McGee here, um, plays a great role of torturing Alex uh, in some ways, and there's other actors, all of them make this film very surreal and very fantastic. Um, the plot in the distant future in the UK, uh, Alex, this sociopath, a man who has no apparent respect of right and wrong, an anarchist, um, completely disassociated from what pain he causes to others when he goes for the ultra violence. Um, he is a part of this gang of hoodlums who speak this kind of Slavic uh, the, dialect, sort of very florid and fluid. In fact, so awesome that it's almost rather Shakespearean at and sometimes. and also rather uh, modern in its way, and it's I don't know, I can say influential on the youth as he relates that they all you know talk like this, and it's an amazing way that he expresses, and he also narrates the film, by the way, quite brilliantly. Um, and Kubrick, that's a wonderful, gives him a wonderful material. Um, he is true evil without responsibilities. He, one of the, well, let's talk about how great that is, a little bit later. But he basically goes out doing the worst of the worst. Um, he participates in beating down the homeless. He participates in uh, beating up senselessly, robbing, and even raping, innocent women, and beating up old men, elderly. He has no regard of what good is or what bad is. He just does it, and it's almost like you have that same quality of that Anthony Hopkins characters on the that Dr. Hannibal Lecter type of thing, where he's bound to be talking to you about a play or drinking a glass of wine, and then he just will slit your throat, just cut off your head, and then continue sipping on the wine as if nothing had happened. This is Alex, and the very first shot of the film where he appears drinking this spiked milk with hallucinogen drugs um, makes him, extremely creepy. Like, I can tell you that I would be scared of this gentleman had I encountered him on a dark alley, or in fact, if I watch him down the street, I would probably walk to the other side of the street and avoid him. He is not the type of a hoodlum where he tries to look tough to intimidate you. He intimidates you because he can and he wants to. He quite a dominating force with his gang that he has, and he eventually that's part of his. I'm not gonna play very much um, spoilers, but he does get incarcerated because his horrible behavior and a way that even his own followers cannot stand him because he's just incredibly evil beyond recognition and understanding. And he is one a true character study, just beyond that of what youth can be. Remember, this is so controversial because this is years before the things that we see today, like the Columbine. Somebody that would the youth could imitate this person. In fact, there were some cases recorded, and I think that's what forced them to be out of the UK public view because of the reporting of some criminal dealings that were similar to what the film had portrayed. Um, Having said that, he makes a great commentary of basically what made this monster. Was it his parents neglecting him? Was it not caring about him? Was it saying, "Oh, he's all good"? He just says, "Oh no, mom, I am tired. Me Gulliver feels bad. I'm going to sleep it off," like he says. And the parents not caring if he goes to school or not. And it makes a commentary on society as a whole. How do you treat hoodlums? How do you reform them? When he gets incarcerated, the plot pretty much is where I'm going to leave it. Whether the government feels that they can reform Alex by doing these experimental treatments on him, because regular prison doesn't seem to be doing the work, and there's a problem with overcrowdedness. There's a problem with social problems in the actual prisons. It's just unbelievable. I can truly say that The This film is just so thought inspiring, and that's the other part that makes this movie great. It's not just Malcolm McDowell's performance. It's just how does the government solve crime? Do they have to be completely totalitarian? Do prisons solve anything, or are they just a revolving door for the youth? Um, you know, Basically the film is so awesome because it's so thought provoking. You watch this film and you can look at it as a way of a bad taste film and say, if you look on the surface and say, wow, what a horrible crimes are being committed on the film. This is atrocious. This should be removed from the cinema. But you could also look at it in the smart way, saying this is a way of telling us that this is a big brother type of scenario. If we want to control crime, how much freedom are we willing to give up? Are we willing to give up the freedom of choice? Should we be drugged? Should we be, hit? Should we be? What should have been done to us? Should we be lobotomized so that we're incapable of doing crime? You know, are some of these things happening now, unaware of us? You know, conspiracy theories that seem to agree. It's just beautiful. The other wonderful thing and last thing I want to talk to you about is the music score. See, Alex has this obsession with music, especially the ninth uh, of Beethoven, and Beethoven's ninth and some of Rossini's music. It's all throughout the film, and the score is beautiful. So, and of course, the last thing I want to talk to you is the Singing in the Rain. What an iconic song by the late Gene Kelly, and horribly portrayed sadistically by Alex as he's partaking on the rape of an innocent elderly lady, and it's so disturbing that it just stays with you. It's just one of the worst things that you could see. However, if you are an art lover, like sometimes I like to be, there is a painter called um, Toulouse-Lautrec. This French painter, um, he used to paint deformed, fat, obese, grossly, morbidly obese, or amputee prostitutes, which actually, were quite, you know, horrible and gross to the rest of the population. Lautrec saw the beauty on them, as if, despite their deformities, they were people, and inside of them they had love, they had caring, they had sex appeal. And if you look close enough and you are willing to learn from this, you can actually see beauty. And I actually enjoy Toulouse-Lautrec's paintings. I don't want to see Monets or Renoirs. I don't want to see pastels and beautiful people drinking wine and eating cheese in picnics. Uh, I want to see the ugly because life is ugly. And if you look at it, the ugly, somewhere amongst them, somewhere in the midst of it, it's the beauty. And this film truly illustrates the beauty. It's horrible, it's spastic, it's bombastic, it's terrifying, and it's also a work of art and beautiful. Guys, have a good night. Hope you enjoy my review. Mr. Kubrick will be in the director series coming up for Horror Month. Have a good night. Just singing in the rain.